Hi everybody, Nikki from Practice Pro here. So this summer, I've been working with dozens of law students who are getting ready to interview with law firms and do on-campus interviews. As many of you who know me that from our conferences, our coaching sessions, articles, videos, you know that I like to talk about the things that make you stand out in a really good way when you are interviewing and applying for jobs, especially when it comes to the big law firm crowds. Today, though, I want to talk about 8 mistakes that really frustrate employers and make, especially law firm employers, their minds go. So let's get to it. The first one is, as you can probably imagine, typos and grammar mistakes of any kind anywhere. So it goes without saying, your resume, your cover letter, and watch those emails that you send potential employers, even the emails you send attorneys or junior associates to learn more about the firm or get help with the OCI process. You want to watch it. Because even if it's somebody that maybe is not making the hiring decisions, if I see every time I see a spelling or grammar mistake in your interactions with me, it might make me a little bit more hesitant to go and vouch for you or really try to advocate to push your application through. A couple of quick points on here. One, watch spelling mistakes of people's names. People's names are important. All of us identify with our names. So pay attention to how they spell it in their bio, or if they emailed you first, really pay attention to their signature line. Is it Nikki with 1K like me, or is it Nikki with 2Ks? Sylvia with an I or Sylvia with a Y? And the next thing is certain mistakes. They're so common that when we're in a rush, even if we know, for example, the difference between a contraction like it's as abbreviation for it is versus the possessive form of it's, when you're in a rush, you might make those mistakes. So take a really quick look at your materials and interactions, or have a mentor or a counselor or career coach take a look at it to make sure you're not making those common mistakes that will make you stand out in a bad way. Another example of this is this year, as we've been looking at a lot of resumes, the way people write their addresses. It's supposed to be after your street address, your city, comma, state, and then no comma, just space followed by the zip code. So basic things like this, when you're in doubt, look it up, make sure it's pristine, because it will reflect on you as the type of lawyer you're going to be. Are you really conscientious and careful and diligent, or maybe not so much? Second tip, this is a mistake that will make you stand out in not very the most favorable way. And that's when you address people in kind of like a weird, awkward way when you email them. And I know all of us are like, do I say dear Ms. so-and-so, or dear, or hi, Mr. so-and-so? And you shouldn't, this does not mean start really, overthinking everything. It's just that, if my rule is when you are emailing somebody for the first time, even if you met them at a reception, you are applying for a job, or this is part of the interaction of getting a job. So I would opt for the more professional, formal way of dear or hi, followed by Mr. or Ms., and then their last name. So what did I mean by awkward addressing people? So like, hey there. Now, I'm thinking, are you being very casual? Are you dry? Are you a little weird? Or one of our very favorites is hello, Ms. Attorney Nikki Korstamir. Again, if I don't know you, I'm thinking, are you awkward or not? So since this could be your first interaction with someone, dear or hi followed by Mr. or Ms. and their last name should be good enough where you are blending in and you're not triggering anybody's weirdo antenna. Third thing, unprofessional email handles. So many of you will use your school email address and domain name to interact with employers, which is fine. But if you want to use your personal email, which is absolutely fine, don't feel that there's anything unprofessional about that. Just make sure it is not like an email handle you got in college and it doesn't have your name in it, and worse yet, it maybe convey an unfavorable impression about you. So my favorite example is loveydovey@gmail.com. It reminded me of an episode of Big Bang Theory. Those of you who watch the show, you probably know what I'm talking about.
You're just my little lovey-dovey, aren't you?
But no loveydovey@gmail.com. Opt for something with your name. And it's absolutely fine if you want to use your personal email, especially if you have it on your phone and you want to make sure you're more responsive. Fourth thing, your social media presence. This is inspired by one of our advisors, who's also the hiring partner of a firm. And he likes to Google people before he interviews them. And in this day and age, it would be great if you have a LinkedIn presence. A lot of lawyers do. So even if it's just something really basic, like where you go to school and the listing of your previous jobs, something I basically can tell from your resume. Don't worry if you don't have time to do a full executive summary right now or have bullet points under each job. We just want to have a basic presence to show that, we are with the times. And on the flip side, especially if you have public Facebook posts and Instagram, a public Instagram account, or you tweet extensively, you want to make sure that the digital footprint you have out there is not going to reflect poorly or unprofessionally on your brand. So kind of take a look and clean things up if you need to. Fifth thing, this is actually one of my personal pet peeves, is when you don't have your voicemail set up. Usually when people call you, it's actually good news. I'm calling to say I enjoyed our screening interview and I want to invite you to come back, do a callback with us and meet more attorneys at the firm. Or better yet, I'm calling you to give you an offer to join us as a summer associate. So when and I understand some people will pick up, some people I'll go to voicemail and I can leave an excited voicemail. But when it says this user does not have a voicemail set up, what that means is now I have to go find your email. Maybe the recruiter did not give it to me. I've been tasked with calling everybody. And now I have to go dig that up and then sit down and draft an email to you. So have your voicemail set up so you don't stand out from the crowd in a bad way. And more importantly, this is an opportunity to call me back or pick up the phone. If you haven't picked up the phone, to at least call me back. And whether you're coming to now work for us, where we can have a chat, or you're about to join us for the summer, this is an opportunity to bond over some good news. Number 6, indecisiveness. Now, that does not mean you need to know exactly the practice area you want to practice in. And it does not mean that if you're legitimately looking into geographies for good reasons, you now need to kind of be authentic. This is more of when a person says, I am willing to work for any of your offices. I have not thought about it yet. I want to try everything. And even though you might think you're coming across as flexible, but you're coming across as kind of like in a personal setting, right? A little bit desperate, which is not attractive also in a professional setting, but also you're complicating things for the individual who's interviewing you. If I was sent to your school's campus to interview on behalf of a law firm's multiple offices, I want to know, what office you're interested in. So if I like you, I know where to forward your materials, or who I need to alert that you're a wonderful candidate and I think they should call you back and get to know you a little bit better. It's also, as lawyers, we don't want to hire, we understand that junior lawyers might not be very confident, but we want you to practice analyzing things and then making a recommendation, because we know in a few years or as soon as possible, you will have to, interact with the client like that, where you, based on your knowledge and your research, you make a recommendation. You are decisive. So being super indecisive in this stage will make you come across that maybe one day as a lawyer, you will also frustrate your supervising attorney or your client in that same manner. So what do? I am interested in these couple of practice areas for these reasons, and this will be my first time working at a firm. I would be very excited to try different things. Or I am interested in San Francisco because, I am originally from here, even though I go to school in Atlanta. And if somebody asks you, yes, I'm also looking at Atlanta, as my second geography, but no broad indecisiveness. Number 7. Entitled behavior. And I work with a lot of law students, and I always tell attorneys, law students are a lovely crowd. They are enthusiastic, they're curious, they're intelligent, and they don't intend to come across that way. The one scenario where this really comes through in this initial hiring process is scheduling. So if you act super high maintenance when you're trying to schedule a date to interview with the firm, and then when you are coordinating with someone at the firm to basically arrange your travel, you want to come across as an easy person to work with. So, it's fine to say, I prefer afternoons, because of, my class schedule, but show some flexibility. You don't want to be the person that says, I'm available Wednesday and Thursday from, 2 to 4, because keep in mind that the individuals you are interviewing with, they're also just as busy as you are. And they probably think they're busier than you. So you're the one looking for a job. So you want to come across as the easygoing, low maintenance person, and the opposite of being entitled in these interactions. And number 8, and the final one, is no-shows. What do I mean by that? So there are a lot of great law firm receptions going on, and this also goes for those of you who are about to start law school, and you also get invited to events, and it's not so close to the recruiting season. Every time there's an event where you RSVP, and I know law students are very quick on that RSVP button, especially when it's free, I want you to think about what happens on the other end. On the other end, someone has been tasked with keeping track of the RSVP list. They'll probably keep track of your name and your law school, and then they have to communicate that to catering to make sure there is enough food. And that same individual or somebody else runs name tags. So your name, even in an event, you will be surprised of 50 plus attendees. It's very familiar to at least 1 or 2 individuals at that law firm. So when at the end of the event, your name tag is still sitting right there, it's possible that nobody notices, and there were like 100 people showed up. But in a lot of my conversations with recruiters about our common frustrations, it's not going to reflect very well on you than if you just show up and you're interviewing with the firm. So if you RSVP for something and you can't make it, emergencies or last minute other priorities come up, use it as an opportunity to impress the firm instead of just no-show. Send an email, thank them for hosting this event to make students more familiar with the firm. Express your disappointment that you can no longer make it, and hope that you will interact with them at on-campus interviews, and make yourself stand out in a professional way that you are grateful and you are interested and you value their time. So I hope this was helpful. If there are any topics that you are really curious about, feel free to message me on our website, www.practicepro.cc. We have a link where you can sign up for a free consult if you have specific questions. If you want to see a video about any topic, message us below. We would really appreciate you liking this video and commenting so YouTube can, show us and make us come up in the feed of other law students. If you have already subscribed to our channel, thank you so much. If you haven't, please consider doing so. I look forward to meeting some of you in this process. It is a hot market, a lot of exciting things going on, and I hope you're enjoying yourself getting ready for all the excitement. Until we talk again, stay well.